Today we're going to be focusing on our hips, hamstrings, and hip flexors. It would be helpful to have a yoga strap if you need one. If you don't have a strap, you can use a belt or a scarf and some blocks. And if you don't have blocks, you can use books, and that should be fine for our class today. We're going to start our class today with some alternate nose breathing. So with your hand, you're going to put your middle finger and your index finger down using your thumb and your ring and pinky fingers. Take a big inhale and then plug your right side and exhale through your left side. And then inhale and then plug your left side with your ring finger and exhale and inhale. So what you want to remember here is every time that you are plugging one side, you're exhaling first through the other side and then inhaling. This is a great way to balance both sides of our brains, and it's also good for balancing your lungs. So this kind of breathing technique just puts your body more in balance. Take a couple more big inhales and exhales, exhaling all the air out of your lungs before you take your next inhale. Take one more full breath on each side, exhaling and then inhaling. Go ahead and release that, and we're going to take a couple of just normal breaths here. We're going to come into a bound angle, so soles of your feet go together. You can pull your feet in close to your hips as far as comfortable for you. And if your knees bother you here, you can place blocks underneath of your knees for extra support. Clasp your fingers together and place them underneath of your feet. This will pull your shoulders down and away from your ears. Make sure you're lengthening through your back and pull your knees down with your own strength towards the mat. Take a few breaths here. Move your blocks to the side if you used them, and then come into a malasana squat or a yogi squat. If your heels do not touch the mat, you can use a blanket or a block to put underneath of your heels. Bring your hands into a prayer position. Inhale and then exhale to push your elbows down and your knees out. I'm going to do this about 10 times, so keep going with that. Inhale to let your legs come to neutral and exhale to push them out with your elbows. Bring your right tricep down by your right knee, and your left hand's going to come to your left knee as you push your left knee away from you. It's okay if your feet come off the mat here. That's perfectly fine. And then inhale to let it come back to neutral, and exhale as you push your knee away from you. We'll do one more on this side before we go to the other side. Left tricep comes to left knee. Right hand goes to the right knee as you push open your hip. Exhale and inhale to let it come in. Exhale, open. Inhale to let it fall in. One more time. Stay in your malasana squat. Just come to face the short edge of your mat so you have enough room. Place your hands to the mat as you lift your hips. Your knees can stay bent here if your hamstrings are quite tight. And you can sway side to side or whatever feels good for your body. Bring your hips back down to the mat. Place your hands down as you push your hips up. We're going to do this about 7 more times. Inhale to lower your hips and exhale to push them up. Try to keep your weight in the back of your heels. I like to lift my toes here to make sure that my weight is where it needs to be. One more right here. Inhale to come down and exhale to push up. You can hold it here for a minute. Bend your knees and roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Stand at the top of your mat. We're going to just take a vinyasa flow. So inhale, your arms go up. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale for a flat back. Hold your breath as you step back to plank. Exhale down through chaturanga. Inhale through up dog and exhale through down dog. You can pedal out your legs here if that feels good. You're going to take about 2 more breaths in this position. Bring your toes close together. Right foot goes up and bend your knee. Open up that hip to the side. And then we're going to step our right foot up to our hands as we come into a warrior 2. So your back leg faces the long edge of your mat and your front toes point towards the front of your mat. Bend into your knee, squeeze your left glute and squeeze your right glute to make sure that your knee is tracking right over that ankle. Cartwheel your hands back down to the mat. Step back into plank as you inhale. Exhale through chaturanga. Inhale through up dog and exhale through down dog. Now we're going to go to the other side, so toes come close together as you lift your left leg up. Bend your knee and open up your hip to the side. Bring your left leg in between your hands. Back leg points towards the long edge of the mat as your front leg points towards the front. Bend into your knee. Squeeze your left glute to make sure your knee is tracting right over those toes. Cartwheel your hands back down to the mat. Step back into a down dog here. Pedal out your legs if that feels good to you. Step your right leg up in between your hands as we come into a crescent lunge. Hands go up, engage your core. Bend into your right knee. Then bring your hands down to the mat. We're going to try something a little different here. So before you relax into this, pull your right foot and your left foot in together. This will activate your muscles and it will lift your body up a little bit as you activate. We're going to hold this for 2 more seconds and then relax into it. Your left foot can go further back into the mat. You can sway back and forth here, whatever feels good to you. So activate for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax down into your lunge for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. activate by pulling your feet together. Your body will lift. And then relax for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your back knee down to the mat as you come into a low lunge. Engage your core as your arms go up. Bring your hands down to the mat. You're going to heel toe your right foot over to the side of your mat and bring your hands to the inside of that leg. Now you can roll your foot out to the side and back in. So as you roll it, exhale and inhale to bring it back in. Hold it out here. If this doesn't feel good for you, you can just leave your foot flat on the mat and then come down slowly to your forearms. And again, if this is too much for you on the forearms, feel free to stay up on your hands. Curl your back toes under and you can bring your front toes in a little bit. You're going to, you can use a strap here if you can't reach your foot. So keep that close by. You're going to bend your left leg in the back and reach up and back with your right hand. Grab your foot and then kick into your foot. It will open up your shoulder. Again, if you can't reach, go ahead and use your strap around your foot. This will give you a nice quad stretch and a stretch up through your hip flexors. Release your foot down to the mat, and then you're going to heel toe your right foot over to the left side of your mat as your left leg goes back straight behind you. Come into your pigeon pose. If you notice that your sit bones don't quite reach the mat, feel free to use a block underneath your right side. Bring your fingertips to the mat. Exhale to come down and inhale to push yourself back up. I'm going to do this 5 times. Two more times. Stay up here and then walk your hands out slowly in front of you. This will give your hip a chance to open up. You can come down on your forearms. You can stay up on your hands, or you can bring your head down further if that's comfortable for you. Walk your hands back in and come up. Curl your back toes under and then bring your right leg back, and you can shake that right leg out, whatever feels good to get that blood flow to the hip again. Bring your left foot back by your right foot and push into a down dog. We're going to go to our other side. So your left leg is going to come up in between your hands as we go into our crescent lunge. Engage your core and push yourself up. Arms go up. Bring your hands down to the mat, and before we relax into this position, you're going to activate by pulling your feet together and then relax down into your lunge. Your right leg can probably go back a little bit more here. Activate for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax down into your lunge. Feel free to rock back and forth or side to side. Activate for 5, 4, 3, 2, one, and then relax down into your lunge. Bring your right knee down to the mat, and then engage your core as you push up into your low lunge. Hands come back down to the mat as we heel toe our left foot over to the left side of the mat. Arms come to the inside of that leg, and you're going to roll your foot out to the side and then back in. Exhale to roll it out, inhale to bring it back in. Roll your foot out and keep it here as you come down to your forearms. Again, if this is uncomfortable for you, feel free to keep the sole of your foot flat down on the mat and you can come up to your hands. Come back up to your hands. Heel toe that foot in a little bit so it's more in the center, and then bend your right leg. Reach up and back with your left hand. Feel free to use the strap here if you cannot reach your foot. Kick into your hand. This will open up your shoulder and your chest. And then come back down to your mat. Your foot heel toes over to the right side of your mat. Feel free to use a block here underneath your sit bone if you cannot touch the mat. And we're coming into our pigeon pose. So fingertips down to the mat. Exhale as you go down and inhale to push yourself up. 4 more times here. Come back up. And then walk your hands out straight in front of you very slowly. You can stay up on your hands or come down to your forearms. Walk your hands back in as you push yourself up. Curl your back toes under and bring your left leg back, and you can shake that left leg out to bring some blood flow to your hip. Curl your toes under and push your hips up for a down dog. You can pedal out your leg here. Step your right leg up in between your hands. Bend your knees. Engage your core as you come up. Legs are going to be straight here with a slight bend in the knees. Your hips square to the front of your mat. Lengthen through your spine and then tip forward from your hips. Fingertips can come down to the mat. If you cannot reach, feel free to use your blocks here. Relax down and take a few deep breaths. This will help our parasympathetic nervous system, which means it'll help put your body into relaxation mode so your muscles can relax more in this position. Bend into your front knee and step your left foot up. Take a forward fold here and inhale to roll up. Step your right foot back. Both of your feet are pointed towards the front edge of your mat. Legs are straight with a slight bend in the knee as we hinge forward from our hips. Bring your fingertips down to the mat or to the blocks. Take a few deep breaths here. Bring your right foot up next to your left foot. Inhale with a flat back and exhale to a forward fold. Inhale as you come all the way up to stand. Come down to a seated position on your mat. Legs go out straight in front of you, and then you're going to bend your right leg and bring the sole of your feet up to your left thigh. Flex your left foot, reach up high to lengthen through your spine and hinge forward from your hips. Take some deep breaths here. This will help the parasympathetic nervous system rest and digest so your muscles can begin to relax. Come back up to a seated position. Bring your left leg in, and then you can use your hands here clasped together underneath your foot, or a strap if that's more comfortable for you. Lean back and lift your foot, leg straight, and sit into your sit bones evenly here. Release your foot back down to the mat and remove your strap. Your right leg's going to go out long. Left foot's going to come up to the thigh. Reach up high as you lengthen through your spine and exhale as you fold forward. If you cannot reach your foot, you can always come to your ankles or your shins here, and then take a few deep breaths to let our muscles relax. Come back up to a seated position. Pull your right leg in. Clasp your hands underneath your foot or use your strap as you kick your leg up straight. Ground down evenly through your sit bones. Come into a low lunge on your mat. So your right foot is going to be forward and your left foot is going to be back. Shin and foot down on the mat. And then you're going to tip your hips back towards your heels. Keep your right foot flexed and bend forward. Fingertips can come to the mat. If you can't come down quite as far, don't come down quite as far. Just do what's comfortable for your body. Left toes are going to curl under as you sit back on your heels. Your right leg is going to point as you reach your hands back on the mat. This will give you a nice deep stretch through your hamstrings. Come back up to your mat. Left foot goes forward and your right foot goes back as you come to your low lunge. Push your hips back towards your heels as you straighten your left leg with a flexed foot. Fingertips come down to the mat as you hinge forward from your hips. Curl your right toes under and then sit back on your heel. Left foot points as you come down. Reach your arms back to the back of your mat. Come on up and bring your right foot back. As you stand, bend into your knees and roll on up. We're going to come into a goddess squat. So feet are wide apart and they're at a 45-degree angle. Place your hands on your knees as you squat down and push your shoulder forward and then back. Left shoulder goes forward and then back. And we're going to do this a few times on each side. You'll get a nice stretch through your inner thighs here and your hip flexors. Come up to stand. Bring your toes straight and then turn them in towards each other as we stand up straight and tall. Hinge forward with a flat back. Bring your fingertips to the mat and push your shoulders back away from your ears. Left hand is going to grab your right ankle and then bring your right hand up and back behind your lower back. Right hand comes over and grabs your left ankle, and then your left hand goes up and back behind your lower back. Twist towards the front of your mat, step back into plank. Exhale through chaturanga, inhale through up dog, and exhale through down dog. Come down to your mat, and we're going to roll over onto our backs for a bridge pose. So lie on your back and then pull your heels in close to your sit bones. Your feet should be hip distance apart here. Place your hands down to the side and push up through your hips. If you need a little bit more stretch here, you can clasp your hands together and roll your shoulder blades underneath your upper back. Press through your heels, engage through your thighs and your glutes. Unclasp your hands and then roll down to your mat. Pull your right leg into your chest, send your left leg out long. And you can wiggle your foot here if it feels good to you. And then you're going to pull your right knee over to the left side of your body. Reach your right hand out as you gaze towards that hand. Come back to center, and then right leg goes out long as you pull your left knee into your chest. Feel free to roll your ankle around here if that feels good to you. And then your left knee is going to pull over to the right side of your body. Left hand's going to go out as you gaze towards the left. This twist should be coming from the middle of your back, so make sure that your shoulders and your upper back are still grounded down into the mat. Bring your leg back into center and we're going to come into Savasana. So legs go out long. Arms come to the side of you with your palms facing up as we relax every muscle in our body down into the mat. Let go of everything here. Try to focus on your breathing. And take a scan of your body of what it feels like now compared to how it felt at the beginning of your practice today. You should be able to feel some space that you've created throughout your body that wasn't there before. We're going to be here for a little while, so focus on how your body's feeling and your breath as you relax everything down into the mat. If your mind starts to wander, bring your focus back to your breath. You can stay in this position for as long as you want. If you're ready to come out, begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers. You can stretch your arms up overhead, roll over to one side very slowly. Take a couple of breaths here on your side. And then push yourself up to a seated position. I hope that you guys enjoyed this class. I know I sure felt like I had new hips after this class. Namaste.